Hello, Flosstube. Elizabeth Martinez, phantastitches, coming at you with my Flosstube update number 383. Today is the 26th of April, so I have kind of a lot to talk about, actually. I guess last week I really only had I think just one project and several plans for what was coming up. And this week, it's basically the opposite. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I did. I have like, I don't know what, five or six projects that I worked on to various degrees this past week. And I have some upcoming plans. Oh, I forgot one thing. Sorry, hold on. No, well, never mind. So this week I have the new WIPGO numbers for May. I have some things that I worked on for this past week, and my what I'll be doing for May for WIPGO. And next weekend is the spring Mingle that Lindy Stitches does. It's a virtual event like Jingle Ball and other things that she did. The Nash Stash meetup, start along, whatever, in March, I guess. I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but so she has a few different things scheduled for virtual events scheduled for this year. I think there's one coming up in the summer. I have a list of the different dates of the things that are coming up, but I don't have it right here. But anyway, Spring Mingle is next weekend, the 2nd through the 4th. That is Friday evening, I think, through Sunday night, I believe. And it's like I said, it's a virtual event, so you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to, you can hang out in your pajamas all weekend if you want to. But it's online, and it's like, I don't know, $10 or $12 or something like that for the general admission. There is a separate class fee that you can purchase. It's done by Hands-On Design. This Bee Has Knees is the name of the pattern that she's going to be talking about, finishing, whatever. And so that's a separate price if you want to take that class. But if you don't want to take the class, if you just want to go and hang out and stitch and meet up with people or whatever, it's like I said, it's $10 or $12. I think it's $12 maybe, I don't know. It's not expensive. And like I said, all you need is like probably a laptop. I think you can do it with a tablet if you have the right interface, but a laptop is probably the easiest way to do it. But anyway, so you just you can and you can, if you want to talk to other people, you can activate your little. It's kind of like what do you call it? Like Zoom kind of, But you can activate your microphone and your camera and all that, and interact as much as you want to, or you can just be kind of anonymous and just see what other people are doing or whatever you want to do. So anyway, that's one of the things my sister Eve and I are going to be doing next weekend. I don't think it'll affect our video filming schedule so much because we'll just take time to do that, because nobody's going to be sitting there glued to the camera for 3 days nonstop or whatever, But so people, you can come and go as you like, and you can, and with your, general admission ticket, you can, enter and leave the event as you will. So you don't have to, keep it open all the time or anything like that. So anyway, it's a really good deal, a really good bargain. It's going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And also then the other thing that's coming up is cross stitch camp. I watched Colorado cross stitcher, and I can't think of her name now off the top of my head. Sherry Truax, something with a burger. All of a sudden my mind is blank. But anyway, Sherry of cross stitch camp, of Colorado cross stitcher. She does cross stitch camp every summer. And it's also a virtual event, basically. It's not even a virtual event. It's just a kind of like how people do Mania. You know, it's just a thing you participate in, but you don't have to sign up or pay or anything like that. It's totally free. And she usually has just like challenges. And so for the month of June, you're stitching one thing. For the month of July, you're doing something else. For August, you're doing something else. So you can participate in all of them or only one of them if you want, or whatever, however many you want, to whatever degree you want. She also designs a little camp badge that's on her page under the freebies. If you look at Colorado Cross Stitcher at her website, and then there's a drop down with the free patterns or whatever, and the cross stitch camp badges are in there. So she stitches each one. They're just little bitty badges. And she stitches each one and then like sticks them on she has a project bag especially for camp projects, and so they're all on there. Anyway, so she posted the challenges that are coming up for this summer. Because she's not sure if she'll get around to doing another video, because she's going to be out of town in May, and she's not sure if she'll have time to do another one leading up to the month of June when the first one kicks off. So she posted them already, and I have it written down here. I scribbled down the challenges. So it starts June 1st is the June challenge. And the 3 challenges this summer are, for the month of June, she was wondering whether you're primarily a daytime stitcher or a nighttime stitcher. And so the challenge is to stitch something with a daytime of some sort motif or a nighttime of some sort motif, depending on whether you're primarily, one or the other. So like, for instance, if you're a daytime stitcher, you might stitch something that has the sun or flowers or animals, birds, things that you see during the day. And if you're a nighttime stitcher, you could stitch something that has moon or a night creature like an owl or something like that. One of the things that would really work for a lot of these is the night garden patterns. If you're a nighttime stitcher, you might stitch a night garden thing that has, because several of them have the moon in there in one way or another, or like there's one that's an owl, things like that. So, and there's also some daytime things, even though it's night garden is the name of it. There's the one with the it's the forget-me-nots pattern that has an elephant and a bunch of flowers. Those, you could say those flowers are daytime flowers, whatever. So, but anyway, so you stitch something that has motifs reflecting day or night. And I'm thinking, and I already ordered this, or not, but there is a Biscornu by Silver Creek Samplers that has I guess there's 2 patterns in the pattern that it includes, like you could either do a sun or a moon. They're patterned that way, and so I'm looking at it, and there's also I came across, because I was looking just under Biscornu's because I didn't know the exact name of this pattern. But so I did find it. So it has you could, I guess it has, like I said, patterns for either one with the sun or one with the moon. And I'm thinking that I might do them back to back, because I am both a daytime and nighttime stitcher. Because if I had my druthers, I'd sit and stitch all day, and it's just a matter of, like, eating and sleeping in between the stitching. So I am both a night and day stitcher. So I'm thinking I might do that. If I can put one on one side and one on the other and still put it together as a biscornu, I might do that. I'll have to look at the pattern specifically, but that's coming in a few days. But also, when I was looking at biscornu things, one that I came across is one called Starry Night biscornu. And it's based on the Van Gogh painting of Starry Night. And that looked interesting, so I went ahead and bought that. So I probably didn't need to. Probably among the things I have, I could find something that would fit that bill, and that would actually probably be less stitching. So just, that's what I'm planning, is the biscornu thing. It just depends on how much stitching is involved. And, because theoretically, the idea is that you start on June 1st, you start at the beginning of the month, and you finish by the end of the month, right? You don't really have to, but that's sort of the understanding. And so I'll look and see what the stitching, the amount of stitching looks like. I don't know. Because it does look kind of like a lot of stitching. But anyway, that's June. So July, the challenge is just stitch something from your favorite designer. So, and I don't know if my favorite designer changes, I guess, from month to month. When I was in college, my bassoon teacher, we were talking about, who's your favorite composer, kind of thing. And he was saying, because I don't know, because my favorite composer is oftentimes whoever I'm playing at the moment. It could be, in a symphony, you're working on a Beethoven symphony, and all of a sudden, and for that period, you're thinking, Beethoven is my favorite composer. And then, maybe a few weeks later, you're working on a Mozart symphony, and you're thinking, no, Mozart's my favorite composer. Or you're working on a solo by this composer, or a solo by that composer. And it's like, when you're working on, Vivaldi's my favorite composer. So, and that's kind of how I feel about cross stitch sometimes, is I'll have several patterns by a certain designer, and I'll think, yeah, that's my favorite designer. But then I come across another one, and I'm like, no, I think this is my favorite designer. So I don't know that I have a specific favorite. TinyModernist is one of my favorites in a way. Silver Creek Samplers is one of my favorites. So I don't know yet. So July, I'll have to think about who my favorite designer is. And then August is always stitch something new to you. So a new thread, a new designer, a new stitch count, new fabric, whatever. So that is the August challenge. And it's in a way, it's harder for me because there are, I've stitched almost everything I'm interested in trying, and because I've done this cross stitch camp new to you challenge thing, so it's getting a little harder to find something that I haven't tried before. But we'll see. Actually, I was thinking about stitching something with the Cottage Garden threads. I recently had, again, this is like the third week in a row, one of my subscribers, Gloria, sent me some of the threads that I'm missing new pattern. I think it's Blue Flower has done a couple of patterns now with using those threads, and I was only able originally to find a couple of them, and she sent me a few more, but I haven't used them yet, so I might do something with those threads as my something new to you part of the challenge. I don't know. That's kind of up in the air still. Anyway, so that's coming up in the summer. So I have all these plans for May, WIPGO and the Spring Mingle, and then June, July, and August, the cross-stitch camp challenges. Plus, I'll be doing WIPGO during those 3 months as well. So, you know, it remains to be seen what I'll be able to finish, how much I'll be able to accomplish. I think last year, as part of my new to you challenge, I did some Stacy Nash designs. I think it was small patterns, and so I know that was one of my new to you design ideas last summer. So, like I said, I'm running out of things. I know. Maybe I'll use that Starry Night challenge. I think that was a new designer that I've never done before. So we'll see. Anyway, so I want to get started on talking about the things I did do this past week. So last time I talked about, sorry, the big dog is in here. The Jackrabbit was my one of my WIPGO pulls for this month. I want to say it was. I worked on the Barn Owl, I think was the other one. Was that right? Yeah, the Barn Owl, which I still have roaming around here. I haven't, worked any more on that, but I did, like I said, more than 7 days on it. Even though 7 days was my goal, I just went ahead and put in a couple more days. And the Jackrabbit, I put in a little bit more than the 7 days that were the goal. So for the Jackrabbit, I think I did the cabin and almost all of the Jackrabbit. All that's left is this dark. Sorry, the dogs are playing with each other very loudly. But so all that's left is this dark gray of the tail, and then this lighter gray. All through here is a Gentle Arts aged pewter. This lighter gray on his leg and his body, and some on his tail. So, really, what I'm working on right now is the darkest gray on the tail. This is $37.99. This is a DMC. So that's all that's left of the tail, except for, again, this gray aged pewter color. And then I just have the flowers that are left. There's some little individual, little 4 stitches and the white stitch in the middle, here and there, all through this design. And then the flowers. And so, I probably won't finish that this month, but I'm hoping that I can at least finish, this, like I said, this dark part of the tail, and then all that's left is this aged pewter color. On the rest of his body. I've done the darkest gray, this medium gray, this design, and then all this blank area is this lighter gray aged pewter color. And so the rest of it, I don't want to take it out of the hoop right now, but so yeah, all that's left is these all the flowers and leaves that are on either side of them. And the cabin is already done. And so, yeah. So I'm definitely going to finish the tail, I think, hopefully today. And the rest of it, the flowers and stuff, I'll leave till later. Of the dogs are making noise. Of all of these that I finished, the fox is the only one I've finished. The fox pattern is the only one I've completely finished. And I haven't, finished putting in the border, this little border thing that I designed to separate them all. But this is the number 2, the swans. And on the swans, I'm trying to remember, I think I have some trees to put in there, as well as a few more stitches on the swans themselves. And that one's almost done. And so the Jackrabbit, if I can finish the rabbit himself, well, I probably won't finish the gray. But then all that'll be left is the lighter gray and the little flowers. And so, like I said, probably next time, whenever that comes up again next year, I'll finish that. Hold on. Okay, so that was my WIPGO second main thing. And then for Easter Sunday, that was the 20th, and it's also my dad's birthday. So I had planned on working on Wayfaring Stranger, which was a design I did for my dad as a memorial for my dad. So his name is on there and his dates. And then this is from a song that we used to sing from Wayfaring Stranger, is the name of the hymn. I am a poor wayfaring stranger while traveling through this world below. And then I am just going over Jordan, I am just going over home. So this is like my dad's parents and siblings and my dad and us kids. So is the symbolism involved in that. But so I'm stitching this 1/2 on, I don't know the exact count of the fabric, but it's basically, I bought it, sorry, there's cat hair on here. I bought it at Hobby Lobby as sort of, it's just like embroidery fabric, but it's very dense. And I don't know what the stitch count is, it's very high. But, so I'm stitching 1 thread over 2. And all I did on this design was I worked on some of this water, a few rows of this water, the River Jordan. And it's kind of slow going because it is so tiny. And I'm using on this particular project something that I had never used before, and that is beeswax, using a waxer. Because this fabric is so tiny that pulling the thread through it, I had a problem with my thread like just shredding, and breaking. So with the waxer, using it, I've been able to use the waxer, and the thread doesn't break. And although I know that the philosophy is, some people use, some people don't. And actually at the Jingle Ball a couple years ago, one of the designers was on there, was talking about using wax, because I was concerned about it being gunky, gunking up your thread, gunking up your project, and she was just explaining, how to do it, and and you don't use a whole lot, so you're not gunking up your project, but it, it kind of like conditions and strengthens the thread. Like some people use thread magic or whatever as a thread conditioner, but but that way you're not sorry, you know, you're not gunking up your project, you're not gunking up the finished thing, and you know, and it enables, like I said, it enables you to do this, you know, 1/2 tiny stitch count thing. So I only worked on a little bit of the water here, and so this still has a long ways to go, but more on that later. The other thing I did in honor of my dad was I worked on this project, To My Dear Father, and this is by Little Robin Designs, and I just really like in French it says "Mon cher père," so to my dear father, right? And it's just a colorful little house, the landscape design. 1845, I guess is what that is. I'm assuming this is a historical sampler that she, you know, redid or whatever. I don't know. She doesn't say specifically in the pattern itself. And I looked on her website, and she was talking about several reproduction samplers that she had, and she showed this one, but she didn't talk about it. She didn't say anything about where it was from or anything like that, and she doesn't mention it in the pattern itself. But it uses a combination of Weeks, Gentle Arts, and Classic Colorworks. So it's all fancy floss. There's, I think there's I don't know if there's a DMC alternative. Yeah, DMC numbers listed in there if you want to use that. So I did this on 28 count Carolina linen, and I just did, again, just a minimal start. This thread marks the center of the fabric, but so I just did one of the colors, doing the outline of the house, these windows here. Is what these lines represent. So I just did a little bit of it, but I did those two patterns on the 20th for my dad's birthday. So then I also worked on my WIPGO new starts. So the first one I worked on was Frostbite. This is by Ardith Designs, by Amanda Mae MacNaughton for Ardith Designs. And again, this is it's basically full coverage, but the design itself is just this part. This dotted stuff is the fabric that they used. But so I decided to do it on 14 count Aida, and I cut this fabric, and I think I cut it a little short. It could probably be a little bit larger because the design is only like 3 squares above, 3 stitches above this hat is the end of the design, but that means I have a very tiny margin. So we'll see how that. But so I worked out. I'm almost done with the snowy head here. I just got to the end of this thread, and I didn't work on more on that, but I went ahead and did the hat and his little face, and then I worked on this red color of his scarf and everything, and little, I guess it's just a scarf, I don't know. But so yeah, that's this is 14 count Aida, and it's one of these printed fabric that's white on the back side. Let me put this behind it just so. But so yeah, It's a little bit bigger than I thought it was, but it'll fit on here, just barely. But enough to, like, I can do like a flat finish and then put it on that. I think it'll fit, I believe, it'll fit on the little piece that I showed a couple weeks ago that I bought at Hobby Lobby. And if not, I'll finish it on something else and we'll see. But anyway, that's Frostbite. So I worked a couple of days, 2 or 3 days on that. Yeah. So that's actually coming along. I talked about last week how I went through my box of shame and put, you know, I had a whole bunch of just random threads in there that I had, you know, just dumped in there. When I finished a project, I threw the threads in there, whatever. So I put all those away, right? So, sorry, one of the threads that I was missing for this project, there's like 3 shades of red here. So there's this one that I used, and there's another shade, and then another shade, right? So to give his little scarf thing some shadows and stuff like that. So there's another color that I am apparently missing. And so I thought, oh, well, you know, because I had, you know, pulled threads for this project, and I think somehow I didn't have that one, because I think I found them in the box of shame, and I had not come across that one. So I thought, oh, you know, it must be in my DMC boxes or whatever. And so I looked on I have, you know, a thread stash on my phone, and I looked there under their thread tracker feature, and it wasn't listed there for anything, right, except for Frostbite. And so either I have it with some project and I just never bothered to put the threads in there, because there are a few that I didn't, where I, you know, listed, like, you know, because on Thread Stash, when you enter a project in there, you can put you have to put the name and the designer if you want. I think the name is required, but the designer is optional. But the name, the designer, the stitch count, whatever. So in some projects, I put just that minimal information, and I didn't enter the threads, you know, for the project. There's a place where you can list the threads that's separate. And so for some of them, I did just the bare minimal of, you know, the name of the project and the designer and the stitch count or whatever. But I never bothered to do the thread stuff. There's some of them that are that way. So I'm guessing that that's the way it is, because I went to look in my DMC boxes, because I thought, oh, I put everything away, and that number's not there. And when I looked in Thread Tracker, it's not listed anywhere, so I don't know where it is. Either I never had that thread, or it's somewhere where I don't know where it is now, and I don't have it listed, so I don't know where it is. Anyway, so that's Frostbite. My other new start is this TinyModernist design, which I call, it doesn't have a title, it doesn't have a name, I don't think. Yeah, it's just a little freebie. So I call it Fox Snow Globe. And so this was my other new start for this month for WIPGO. And I did, let me put this behind it. I did, this is about half of his little sweater that he's wearing. And this is the Christmas tree beside him. And these little gaps are where all the, you know, little decorations and stuff are. And so right now I'm working my way up this tree. But so yeah, so I did a few days on this on Fox Snow Globe. And Yeah, that's all right. And I worked up until, last night or whatever. I got to the end of a thread here, and I worked a little more on this morning on the Jackrabbit, just like I'm trying to finish that. Anyway, so what came out the other night was the WIPGO numbers for May, and let me get over here where I can see it. And so the numbers were number 4 and number 19. No, number 5, excuse me, number 5 and number 19. So number 5 is The Raccoon by Cottage Garden Samplings. So another one of this series. It's come out now where every month I've been working on one of these patterns. So this is the Raccoon. So on this one, I did just the beginnings of the Raccoon. I did this one flower, and apparently I did it wrong. I think I just kind of fudged it because it doesn't really matter in the long run. But yeah, I realized that as I was doing this, it didn't line up the way it was supposed to. And I'm like, yeah, I made a mistake. But anyway, but so I did just this part of this one flower, and then I started on the Raccoon, and I didn't get real far. I think I did this one little claw and some of his back or whatever, but yeah. So, so we'll see. Again, I'd like to finish the Raccoon himself, and I'd like to get that cabin in, but it's so far down, I don't know if I'll be able to. But again, this calls for 2 weeks Dye Works colors, and the rest are DMC. The week's Dye Works colors are Charlotte's Pink, which is this flower, and then Graphite, which is a gray color. And I want to say, is it, yeah, it's this this medium gray kind of, the lighter gray of his haunch and his body. The darkest gray is, yeah, it's this, I want to say the little diamond design. Yeah. So in between, around and in between the design is this graphite, this gray color. So, and it seems pretty complicated, the more I look at it. But anyway, so this is basically all I've got on the Raccoon. So just the darkest color on his back, and the one flower, and and the outline of his tail partway down. So this is the edge of the pattern, I think. Yeah, this flower and the tail are the edge of the pattern, and then this is, so this is, these little indents mark the border of the, so it's kind of, I have like on the way the border is designed, I have like one empty stitch between the edge of the design and the border. So yeah. So there's the Raccoon. So I'm hoping again next month I can try to finish the Raccoon body. Let's get that one. And then the other WIPGO, main WIPGO number I have is Wayfaring Stranger. So I'll work more on this. Oops, it's upside down. So hopefully in May, you know, I'll be able to finish that river and get those sheep in. And then there's another patch of green over here. It's a different, slightly different shade of green with the last sheep, my dad, over here. And then really I want to work on the word check because they go pretty fast. And I have to finish this little piece of the border, just a little bit of the border here. So there's not a whole lot left to go on this. Once I finish, it's just kind of a lot of stitching. The river and there's the little fish are back stitched on here. And then the sheep, once I get them done, I think they'll go pretty quickly because they're just a few stitches in each case. I put some, I modified this pattern a little bit from the original. I put this red on these to indicate the female people of my dad's family, my aunts and my grandmother, and then the white ones are the males. I have my Uncle Saul, my Uncle Amos, and I had one uncle, they called him Tito. I can't remember his real name, his full name, but that died as a child, I think. And so, yeah, and then my dad, and then, like I said, us kids, the fishes. Yeah. So anyway, so hopefully, maybe I'll be able to finish it next month. I don't know. But those are my 2 WIPGO projects for May. And like I said, that I don't know. My other WIPGO things, the new starts for WIPGO, I did not get those because one of them is Parade of Elephants, which is the other Parade of Elephants that was, it's, what is her name? The designer. There were 2 Parade of Elephants designs. One of them is by the Blue Flower, I think, that was in Punch Needle and Printer Stitcher magazine. It was part of it. She did like a series of 4 designs that year, and I have the magazines somewhere. Some of them are in storage, I think, and some of them I have here at the house. But the ones with the designs, I think, are all in storage right now. So there's that Parade of Elephants by the Blue Flower. And the other one is by, what is her name? People are probably screaming the name at the screen right now. Or is it? I have it right here. Because the Blue Flower one I finished. I think I fully finished it. This Hello from Liz Matthews, that's the name of it. But so I believe I have that in my waiting to be done thing. So it's 153 by 86. So it's kind of big, but again, there's no, because it's one of my new start things, there's no goal listed on there. So hopefully I will work on that. That's one thing I thought I had pulled, I didn't pull. And the other thing I did not pull was the number 19 new start is from my Jingle Baubles ornament book that I got in December. And so I just have to pick one of those bauble designs, and I have not done that yet. The numbers just came out yesterday, and so yeah, I have to pull those. I was thinking about the main WIPGO projects, and I didn't pull the new start things yet. But so maybe next week I'll have something to talk about. But anyway, So I don't think, other than the two new patterns that I just bought for cross stitch camp. Other than that, I don't have any haul or anything. But so those are all the things that are coming up. Spring Mingle next weekend, my May WIPGO numbers, and the summer cross stitch camp challenges for June, July, and August. So I'm, like I said, hopefully I'll have time to work on both the cross stitch camp projects and whatever comes up for WIPGO during those months. That always, that because I do cross stitch camp. I've done cross stitch camp every summer, I guess, to one degree or another. I think I've done cross stitch camp every year that we've had it. That Sherry has talked about it. I think this is the 5th year, she said, and that sounds about right. 4th or 5th year, I don't remember. So summer is always kind of like trying to squeeze everything in to the month, and my WIPGO stuff, I still hit the goal, but not nearly as much stitching. So we'll see what happens, what comes up, what projects come up, and how much I'm able to work on those. But so far, I'm actually since January, I've been making a pretty good dent on my Cottage Garden Samplings series, my Year in the Woods series, because they've come up, apart from January, it did not come up in January, but February, March, April, and May have all had at least one of the Cottage Garden Samplings, and actually, so in February I had 2, in March I had 1, in April I had 2, and in May I have 1. So I've been working on those 12 designs. Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm getting a good, making a good dent on each of them so that I'll be able to finish them next year, maybe. We'll see. So anyway, I think that's all I have to talk about this week. And next week I'll be in the middle of the Spring Mingle, and I think I talked about this before. I think I showed it. The project I was thinking about for Spring Mingle. Sorry, I think I have it here. I have this project bag that I got at Michael's, and the project bag, and I have this little notions pouch, and I have it very stuffed because I have a whole bunch of fabrics and new starts and stuff stuffed in here. But I was just thinking, I wonder if they have some more of these now, because when I bought them about a month ago, they had a sort of a special thing going on. They were discounted or whatever. So they had these bags and they had the little bags. And I don't know if it's something that they carry regularly or they just, had them for that event or whatever. But okay, so yeah, I do have it in here. So the thing I was thinking about for Spring Mingle was this Mouse's Snow Day. I was thinking about doing this for Spring Mingle. I might do it. I might at least start it. I might work on one of my WIPGO things. I don't know. I have all weekend to do it. So, but this is a TinyModernist Snow Day, Mouse's Snow Day, and and I was, when I was looking at projects for when I was looking for the Biscornu things. at 123 Stitch, looking at a couple more of her mouse designs. I was like, oh, I want that one. Oh, I want that one. But I'm holding off. But yeah, that's another one where I want to look at her website and see all of the mouse designs, so then at some point I can order them all. But anyway, so that's all I have to share right now, and if I do any more on anything, it remains to be seen. I have a few more days to the end of the month, and then spring mingle in May gets off to a running start. So thank you again. If you're a subscriber, thanks a lot for coming back and for subscribing. And if you're new to the channel, if you're a new subscriber, I think I have at least one new subscriber. Thanks a lot. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing, and you can hit the little notification bell, and so that you'll know whenever I do an update. And they're usually almost always Saturday, and so you'll get a notification when I've posted a new video. And they're usually not very long. This one is long because I talked for almost an hour. Usually they're like maybe 30 minutes or something, so they're shorter. Yeah, so again, subscribe and hit your notification bell and all that. Give it a thumbs up if you like. And yeah, so I appreciate you coming back and watching me every week, and thanks a lot for those who leave comments. It's great. And yeah, so I will see you next week, and thanks a lot. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Bye.